Give me your hands if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends.
Hello, beautiful bookish people. My name is Hannah, and today I'm joined with my favorite old high school teacher, Mr. Clover-Brown.
Hello.
I've known for such a long time, since middle school, actually.
Yes.
And also another one of my friends, Emory, who was one of his students.
Hello.
And today we're just gonna do like a little interview, catching up and seeing how you've been, asking about books and
Well, I'm still here. I'm still here.
So one of my first questions is, do you think we were good students?
Yes, I do. I'm not surprised, but I can say it from my heart. You were both excellent students, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Very diligent, intelligent, and fun to be with in the class. Whenever I saw your names coming on my list of who was signing up for the classes, I was very happy.
Oh.
And I really mean that. It was wonderful for me, really.
That's nice.
You went the extra mile all the time.
Oh.
The extra bit of work made a difference.
Oh, that's nice.
So, why did you decide to become a teacher? You teach a lot of different types of classes.
Yes.
So I'm curious.
It goes back, I think, probably deep into my own education, ultimately, because I was spending a lot of time in England in a non-teaching role.
Mm-hmm.
I was working in corporate finance and also as an actor, but not as actually a teacher. I did both for years, combined acting and a major corporate role.
Right.
And gradually I began to get increasingly interested in the acting side of things. And then when I came over here, we moved from 2002, I had an opportunity to not go on doing what I had been doing. And I looked at my life and I thought, I think I'll do it differently. I'll become William Shakespeare, which actually is what happened. I taught for a year at Cambridge School of Dallas, and I wanted to, in that process, I realised that I really enjoyed teaching.
Right.
And I thought maybe I had something to offer which perhaps is a bit different from other people in the area, in the sense of coming from Britain, and with the expertise I happen to have in various subjects. So I just thought, I wanted to give back. I really thought it would be good to give back to the community that I'm now part of. Emory talked about Jane Austen briefly, and I remember my high school teacher at my school in England saying to me, Clover-Brown, you don't like her now, but you will later, or words to that effect. And if you concentrate, you may get to Cambridge. Well, I teach a variety of classes at Theo, as you both know.
Yes.
I don't know whether you wanted to talk about them, but they draw on my different sides of my background, my acting background, my academic background, my business background, all of them in those classes, and my ability to speak French based on my trips to France.
Right.
Before you came today, I was watching the Tour de France,
Oh,
which is
nice.
right now.
So, another question. You simultaneously showed me my favorite book, The Book Thief, and as well as my least favorite book, Life of Pi. I was just curious what the process is of choosing books.
In the literature and action class, I'm looking for mostly modern books which are stimulating to read and have some teaching essence in them, something that there's a lesson we can draw from them, something that's worth studying, but they aren't, it isn't Crime and Punishment, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
You know, we study that in depth in the European literature class, and that's a different kind of kettle of fish. So I'm starting from that premise. I'm looking for books which interest the particular students who sign up for literature in action. So, and then I can't expect that every book is going to be liked by every student. That would be unrealistic. And I think it's quite a good thing if you read a book and don't like it, as much as it is if you read a book and like it in a literature class. This is not summer reading, you know, with your feet up on a beach. This is a class, and I think there's something to be learned from every book, whether you like it or not.
So, what is your favorite part of teaching the acting classes that you teach?
I love watching young actors develop and see their confidence growing. I think acting and the theatre in general is a very powerful medium. With what you're doing now, I could imagine you feel the same.
I do, very much so.
And I have seen young actors growing in confidence in front of my eyes, in front of the audience's eyes, and skill, but above all, I think, really, in confidence and their own ability to realise what they can manage, what they can do. And I think it's a powerful way for students to enhance their overall looking at life and the way they carry themselves. So I do it, but that's probably my most rewarding side of it.
So you've played Mr. Shakespeare. Do you want to
I don't
explain
know whether
it
you
a
can see
little
this
bit?
on the camera here, but this is yeah, let's just say Shakespeare Rocks. I think it says like Author's Rock. What does it say? Yes. Yes. Well, I had the head for Shakespeare, literally. I was first cast as William Shakespeare in a TV commercials in England.
Really?
Yes, and that's how it all started. And when I came over here, at the Cambridge School of Dallas, I was actually teaching acting there for a year, and we put on a whole year's worth of drama, including As You Like It. And we had fifth graders in the class as well as 12th graders in the performance. And the fifth graders came up to me after about 3 weeks and said, "Mr. Clover-Brown, who is this guy? Who wrote this stuff?" And it's really interesting. These were the fifth graders. And I thought, okay, let's have a class in which I talk to them about the man who wrote the play. And then I thought, wait a moment, I'll put a costume on and give them a surprise. So I walked in one day, I'd organised the wig and everything, so the hair, the wig, and they all fell on the floor. And we had a good time. And so I then thought, okay, I think I'll take him out on the road with me and give back in that way.
Because young children are so visual as well, and so being able to put a face to the name is very important, and kind of can probably help them to seem more real.
So my question surrounding Mr. Shakespeare Man was, do you have a memorable venue that you played at or you sparked your mind?
I suppose I have to say that the most memorable trip I did as William Shakespeare was driving by myself to Washington, D.C., from Dallas.
Wow.
That's a long way.
Yes, where I was booked to perform at the Folger Shakespeare Library, which is
right.
You know about the Folger Shakespeare Library? It's the sort of
Fangirling right now.
it's the epicenter of Shakespeare studies in America.
It has a folio, doesn't it?
Oh, it has more than one.
Oh.
It has about 70 of them in different states of repair. We're talking there about the first folio, if you don't know what that reference was to.
Yeah.
And they have a unique setup there. They have a beautiful little stage, and being booked there was quite I think a mark of approval from people who matter in the Shakespeare world. So that was probably my most memorable.
Well, since taking the class, I've been in 4 Shakespeare productions. I was in Macbeth as a witch. Henry IV is the page boy, John of Lancaster. Yeah. And right now I'm in a production of Hamlet. But world, you'd probably be more likely to be cast as Hermia, and that actually did happen. I was Hermia in Midsummer Night's Dream. So I thought that was an interesting anecdote. But my question is, part of the process of the Hamlet I'm doing right now is that we like to ask the audience their favorite interpretation or different kind of conspiracy theory with Hamlet. So my question is, what is your favorite interpretation or kind of conspiracy theory, if you will, about Hamlet?
One of the theories I think is interesting is, how old is he? How old is he? Because he ages apparently to the age of 30 at the end of the play, and he doesn't seem to be 30 when he starts.
Right.
And I think Shakespeare was either have forgotten what he was doing, which is unlikely, or perhaps had a point to make about something to do with the way that time passes.
Yeah.
Well, bouncing off interpretations, I was curious if you could change one thing about any Shakespeare play, what would it be?
So, I tell you what, I absolutely cannot stand the end of King Lear. It's so sad.
Oh, it's
So sad. I would like
so.
that not to happen.
I agree.
His daughter's death, I would like not to happen.
Yes.
I must say. Something that I find interesting, and I mentioned it in the classes, is the way that there are missing mothers in Shakespeare.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
who else has lots of missing mothers? I'm going to ask you a question.
Walt Disney.
Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So I asked this question to lots of teachers because since I'm going to be an educator, it's something that plagues me as I fall asleep at night. What is the most difficult? What is the most difficult part of teaching unmotivated students?
Teaching unmotivated students, yes. That is, of course, a very good question, and I'm very. They've all been good questions. I've enjoyed myself. Sorry, I'm blessed to be at Theo from the point of view of the fact that nobody really needs to be there.
Right.
Oh,
exactly.
true.
I mean, I think it makes a huge difference. I'm not teaching at a public school where perhaps
right, absolutely.
They don't have to be. I mean, they do have to be there, and they may not want to be there. One assumes that because people have signed up for the classes and paid for them, that they actually want to be there. And that has happened in 99% of my classes. That there's no the lack of motivation is not an issue that I've been, had to face, except for the economics class, where I teach that because of my corporate background. I try to make it as light and as much fun as I can make it. I'm talking about this economics, and also relevant as far as I can. Something that may spark their interest. I have noticed that they do perk up. And so I think something that affects them, that they can relate to individually or through their family, may help. Yeah.
Definitely the answer I get the most when I ask that question is relevance, finding something that is interesting and relevant, and teaching students why what they're learning is going to affect them in the long run, as opposed to this isn't just going to be the next test and they can forget about it. It's something that is going to carry on throughout their entire life. So,
well, you've said it better than I would have. If I just say what you said, that's really what I think I'm getting at.
So I was just curious. As students, have we ever taught you anything?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I think I can say that you both taught me the importance of being able to see the funny side of things during the class, because you both had great senses of humour, and I remember your eyes twinkling away on occasions and I felt that was being both helpful from the point of view of learning. I mean, through the fun, I hoped that we were learning things. And so I think that by watching your reactions was that I was was that I thought we'd have some fun amongst the and not to the point of being frivolous.
Sure.
That's what you taught me.
You remember the lollipops?
I do.
There you go.
Sorry, this is an inside joke where I thought these decapitated heads were lollipops. Terrifying. Were we your favorite students?
I've already said how excellent you were. So I don't think I'd pick out a favourite, to be honest. I don't think that's a bit not necessary, but I would say that you were right up there. Yes.
Top 10?
Oh, definitely.
Friendship. So in my graduation letter, I said I wanted to be a Shakespeare teacher, and I still do. And you came up to me after graduation and you said you had read it. I was curious how that made you feel. That you were probably the inspiration that I wanted to teach.
I was moved, very moved. Why am I teaching? Emory asked me earlier, in a way, what drew me into it, and I feel strongly about this. There have been students who've been kind enough to come up to me and say, Mr. Clover-Brown, you've made an impact of some sort, hopefully a good one, a positive one, and I found it very, very moving, and I think, in essence, it's probably why I'm keeping going. And when I get remarks like that from people like you, who I respect, it means a lot to me.
Yeah. But yeah, and my last one is, one of the reasons I actually wanted to do this video, because I wanted to come back and say thank you. Because you were probably, honest to God, the reason I love Shakespeare and have a hunger for him so much. I was curious if there was ever a teacher that did that for you.
Well, I actually referred to him earlier.
Yes.
Briefly, I said that at my high school days there was the teacher who said I would love Jane Austen later. He didn't just stop there. He took me aside, took me under his wing, and made it clear why he thought that if I applied myself, I would get to a major university, because I hadn't really been working hard enough. And so I think I owe that man a great deal. I wrote to him afterwards, and I said to him what what I think was the right thing to say, which I felt very indebted to him.
But yes, I just wanted to come back and say
Well,
thank you. It was a pleasure getting back together with you and seeing how you're doing.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure for me too. How do we do this?
Hey, Scoochie, this way a little bit. So it says, am I boring you?
Always.
Are we all alone now?